And good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel, Bag with the Wandering Mariner. So it is Thursday morning. This week has just been flying by. I want to get right to today's question. Typically, YouTube tells us as content creators, release your videos 1 day a week, or 2 days a week, or 3 days a week, or if you're going to do it consistently every day, release a video. And really, I don't have the time to do videos every day, but there's so much content that I want to get out to you guys and share with you. And you guys keep asking a lot of great questions. So I'm just going to keep firing them off and ignoring what the algorithms tell me to do, but just get the content out on the street, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. If so, make sure you're giving it a thumbs up as we go along. So here we go. Today's question is from Jamal in year 3465. He says, can you go more in depth about the practicality of living abroad while in between contracts or time off? I know you mentioned in one of your videos that people live in Thailand when not on board ship. Do they just rent property in different countries while in between ships, or what's kind of the deal? So, the world, before you start sailing as a mariner, you see the world as this huge thing. But as you get more life experiences and travel and time going abroad, you start to realize that the world's not as big, and you have this passport that you can, it's a ticket to ride, this adventure to go all different types of places in the world. And you have this time off in between ships, and depends on whether you work for SIU or SUP or, one of the other unions or Military Sea Lift Command. You have this time off. So you're like, what do I want to do during this time off? And, when I was a younger mariner, adventure, it was all about adventure. It was all about getting out and seeing new things. And after a while, you're kind of like, I'm tired. After you have a family, after you kind of get things settled in, you're like, I just want to take a break. I want to go home to my house. I want to sit on my couch and do Netflix and chill. Or I want to sit on my back deck and just enjoy my house. But some people, they want this adventure. They want to get the travel. So that's why they kind of got drawn into the maritime industry in the get-go, because it is a place where you get a chance to see different cultures and see different places, and it really feeds into the narrative of the idea of living abroad. So a lot of mariners want to do it during their time off. So a lot of common places that mariners will live when they're not on ship is typically like Mexico, Philippines, Thailand, New Zealand, Brazil. And lately I've seen a lot of mariners telling me that they're going to Venezuela. And that is mind-blowing to me as well, because I never thought Venezuela would be a tourist destination. But because all these economies are kind of financially suppressed, your dollar goes really far. And I would say that's probably the biggest reason why mariners want to go abroad, is because their dollar goes a lot further. And when you're on vacation or you're taking time off, you're thinking about, how long do I have this nest egg to last me before I have to put my butt back on a ship and go back to work? So what are some of the benefits of living abroad? So I'm going to say mainly and these are the textbook answers. All right, guys, I'm going to give you the textbook answers, and then I'm going to give you my personal opinion of why I think so many mariners are going abroad to live nowadays. But the textbook answer is quality of life. If you live in America and you want to live in San Diego, you can't find a townhouse for under $600,000 in San Diego County. It is an expensive place to live. If you want to live around the beaches and have that beautiful weather, it's really expensive. But if you go to some of those third world countries, you can have a really awesome quality of life in some really fantastic climates and tropics, and have a lot of adventures that are not so expensive. So you can go to the beaches, you can go fishing, there's lots of nightlife, there's lots of things that you get to do when you're abroad, and that quality of life is And sometimes it's just simple. Some guys want to live in the middle of the rice fields and just, you know, see the roosters in the morning and just have a quiet and serene homestead quality of life. So everybody kind of has their spot, their idea of what paradise is and where they want to go and what kind of adventures they kind of want to have during their time off. So getting into the question was, what do most people do? Are they renting? How are they living abroad? And I think typically when you first start out going abroad, you will typically first you'll go there and you'll just stay in hotels or you'll do Airbnbs. And then after you kind of get a feel for it, you're like, okay, maybe I'll do a longer term Airbnb this time and I'll stay the whole month in Venezuela or, you know, Mexico or wherever. So you can go abroad and live in these places for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 1 year. Kind of depends on what you want to do and how much you have in that nest egg that you want to save up and take time off of. Now, if you work for Military Sea Lift Command, you're kind of stunted because they don't give you as much time off as the unions. The unions, you go to work when you want to work and you go off and take off when you want to. And that's, I think, the biggest draw with living abroad for a lot of mariners is, well, I don't have to go back till I want to go back or till I need to financially go back. So they could just expand their time off in these places, and that's a big draw for it. So let's talk a little bit about like if they decide to rent and you know, after the Airbnbs and the hotels, then apartment rentals are kind of like the next level, the next thing that a lot of mariners get into. And even sometimes they get into relationships and have families, and then they're building houses and everything else abroad as well. So let's get into it. So these are just some typical stats that I pulled down. So Mexico City, to live in the nicer expat neighborhood, you're looking at $800 to $1,200 a month. And it can drop down to as low as $450 to $600 if you live in the outer parts of the city. Now, you know, one, you should probably learn some Spanish if you're going to move to Mexico. Two, you know, neighborhoods, people are like, oh, you could go to this country and live like a king. Well, not necessarily. You might be living just among common folks. And yeah, according to the common folks, you have a lot more money than they do. But then that brings all kinds of other questions of, you know, how safe is it and so forth. So, you know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows of living in some of these countries because they are so economically depressed. But if you're adventurous and you want to go do that, you can. Acapulco, big tourist area. You could get a 2-bedroom condo for $1,200 to $1,500 a month. And I'll tell you, you can't touch that in Wisconsin. A 2-bedroom place here is $2,000, and it's not near a beach. It's in Wisconsin. So the cost of living in America has just gone up everywhere. And I'm sure even in Mexico, things are going up in price. But another example, the Philippines. Here, the Philippines are saying you can live in Makati, which is like the metropolitan downtown area of Manila, for $600 to $1,200 a month. And that's, if you want the nightlife, you want to go get an apartment, that's fairly cheap if you saved your money, right? Rentals in Cebu can be significantly cheaper, from $400 to $800. Again, that's I'm guessing that's probably on the low end. Cebu is getting a lot more expensive because it is a beach city and a lot more people are going there. Thailand, again, if you like big cities, you want to see a lot of temples, you want to have that inner city adventure of millions of people. And Thailand is massive. If you have not been to Thailand, it will blow your mind. But you can live in Bangkok for $500 to $1,200 a month. Chiang Mai, which is like up in northern Thailand, like in the jungles, if you want to live in that city, $300 to $600 a month. And then Phuket, which is a beach town, and that's gotten a bit more expensive. It's $500 to $1,000 per month for a 1-bedroom. And if you go outside the cities and you go more into the rural, it is much cheaper. So, And then here is, I looked this up, Venezuela, because I've had friends tell me they were going to Venezuela and they were telling me how, you know, crazy cheap everything is. But you're looking at like Caracas, $200 to $500 a month, Valencia, up to 400. You know, this is like super affordable. But again, with that, the economic conditions, you're living amongst people that don't have. And, you know, in any society, when you have a whole bunch of haves and have nots, which is kind of where America's going lately, you can have civil unrest sometimes. And you can have crime and other issues. So just things to think about. But, you know, if you want to go abroad and live in some of these countries, it's just financially makes sense. So I think that's a textbook reason why a lot of guys are going. Another thing I want to talk to you guys about is like the visa requirements for these countries is a super easy. And if you're interested, leave your comments below. I could do a breakdown of like what the visa requirements are for these countries if you guys are interested in hearing more about that. But kind of comes down to, you know, the adventure aspect, the cultural aspect of living and immersing yourself in different cultures is a big fun to do thing, you know, and you get a chance to learn other languages, get to try different types of food. And, you know, if you are not adventurous, living abroad might not be for you. And the main reasons is, you know, you go to certain societies. I'll give you an example. If you go to Thailand or Philippines, rice is life. Like, rice is the main part of the diet. If you're diabetic or you have health issues and whatnot, Philippines and Thailand might not be for you because rice is with like every meal almost. So there are certain aspects of the dietary changes when you go to different cultures. And if you don't like that, you know, if you don't like tortillas and beans, you might not like living in Mexico. I lived in Mexico for like 4 years, and, you know, I lived like, I want to say like a half a block away from a tortilleria. And we would have tortillas like once or twice a day. And my in-laws, they would eat tortillas like every meal. Like not a few tortillas, like stacks, like of tortillas with every meal. But that's Mexican culture. So the dietary thing, that's a little bit of a different topic, but let's get back to it. With all that in hand, I kind of want to talk about this is, and again, guys, this is my personal opinion, okay? I gave you the textbook reason, the adventure, the travel, you know, the economic reasons to move abroad. This is my real belief of why I think men and people are moving abroad. And I think that America right now has a problem of relationships between men and women. And I think it's all kind of spurred off because of the internet. The internet has given us, you know, all these apps and abilities to kind of check people out and learn about them and look at their profiles and see their best pictures and see everything about them. And before we even meet a person and you look at all those types of dating apps and stuff, you're already made up in your mind like you know everything about this person just based on their profile. And we don't give a lot of people a chance, a lot of men. Women are looking for the best of the best. Everybody's kind of looking for the best of the best. But women will always have their choice of what men they want to meet. And there is a big problem for men in America right now and the ability to meet women. And part of it's because, and again, this is my personal opinion, American women, modern day woman, has a career, has a job, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, men find different purpose in different things. And one, every man wants to meet a woman. They want to appropriate. They want to have sex. They want to have a relationship. And a lot of men are right now going sexless because the women are just very picky, very choosy. Modern day women are in their careers, they're in all these things. They're looking for the best of the best. And if you're not technically the best of the best, you're kind of missing out. And men nowadays, young men, I'm talking guys in their early 20s, early 30s, are going abroad and looking for partners because the modern American woman isn't looking their way, unfortunately. So, with that, I want to say there's a lot of different aspects. There's young guys that are going overseas to have these adventures, to meet women, to have all these things. If you've gone online and you see videos with guys that are called passport bros that are like going over to overseas just to have sex with as many girls as they can meet and just have fun and party, party, party. And then there's the guys that are going through midlife crises, guys that are in their late 30s, early 40s, that are like, they've never married, they're single or they're divorced, and their lives have kind of gone a certain way. And now they're going to other countries and they find out that because these countries have more of a traditional lifestyle where women stay home, they have children, they have this, a person in their 30s and 40s can have that life that they missed out on. So they can go there and meet somebody that's looking at having a family. So they're kind of looking around and whatnot. And there is, lots of older single people in the world nowadays. And I think a lot of it's because of technology, and we just don't give people a chance. Back in the day, you might have grew up in a small town, and who'd you date? You dated the other people in your small town, or maybe the next town over, or you left your small town. Nowadays, you can go on the internet, you can meet anybody from anywhere around the world, have a conversation, go meet them, and whatnot. So I think a lot of that is a driving force too, why guys are going overseas. And, I am not opposite of that. I met my wife overseas, met my first wife in another country as well, and that was just a good fit for me. For me, I always wanted to be a provider. I wanted to have a traditional family. I wanted to have those aspects of life. And it just didn't marry up with what was available for me as a male. And I think that there's a lot of societal questions about that. Some people say this is wrong, that all these guys from the US and Europe are going over to these foreign countries to find wives, and it's just modern day mail order brides and whatnot. And in a way, it might be. It could definitely, be that aspect. Some people's opinions are these guys are just too old, they can't find anybody. Maybe they're too ugly, or maybe they just don't have enough money to satisfy an American woman, and that's why they're going overseas. So there's a lot of angst or perspectives, and I'd like to know your guys' opinions on this too, why you think that, men are going overseas to find wives. But and a lot of other people might say it's financial reasons. They're going over there because these women are financially depressed, and they're looking for opportunities in their lives, and they're just marrying you for money. And I don't know if that's necessarily always true. I think that it can be true from time to time. I think that, I don't know why Jeff Bezos's wife or Bill Gates's wife or, Donald Trump's wife married those men, if they were just amazing people and they got to know them, or at first did they go, wow, this guy has a lot of financial stability, I think I want to check out a relationship with him, and so forth. So I think it's really interesting just to kind of talk about that aspect of it, because it sinks into my mind often when people hear me talk about going overseas, because that is me and my wife's plan. We've been together since 2001 or late 2000. So, I mean, we've been together almost 24 years. It's worked for me. It's worked for, my lifestyle of being a mariner. I think that if you're going to be a merchant mariner and you're thinking about traveling and having a spouse behind, you have to find somebody that wants you but doesn't need you. And that is a hard match to find sometimes because you're going to be gone a lot. And if somebody's always on the phone or always hitting you up in chat or always hitting you up, in emails that you need to come home, when are you coming home, when are you coming home, you can't really focus on your career. So just foreign cultures maybe are more accepting of people going abroad, understanding a little bit more that, sacrifice for family, being a provider is kind of the cultural norm in some of those countries. So I think that's a good aspect of it. But, personally, I don't know. And honestly, I don't care what other people think. And I think that everybody should be living their lives to their best and enjoying their life to their best. And, just be kind, nice to others, and the world will be a great place. So hopefully you guys get some value out of this. Make sure you leave your comments below because your comments usually turn into my next content for my videos. So make sure you like, subscribe, and we'll hit you on the next one. Peace.